let's talk about some good news for once. Let's talk about some actual, like, some actual factual good news. Like some things that, you see this and you're like, wow, the world's not about to end. Things are looking good. So I present to you an article from Vox that kind of goes over the number of trans state lawmakers nearly doubled Tuesday night. So this is an article from November 4th, and this talks about how there have been a lot of transgender officials being elected to office. States like Delaware, I think Oklahoma, stuff like that, so in Kansas. So let's read this article from Vox. So Tuesday night was a win for LGBTQ representation at the state level, with key victories for several openly trans lawmakers in a year when many have faced harassment. Now, I'm just going to announce this right now. I am going to be running for some elected office, but I'm not going to be doing it as openly trans. I'm going to do it stealth mode because all the openly trans people, they've already taken the slot. So when I start my campaign for mayor, I'm going to hide my transgender status, get elected, and then reveal that I am trans after having been elected, therefore becoming the first non-openly trans individual to be elected. That's going to be my goal. So Sarah McBride became the highest-ranking openly trans official in the country when she won her race for Delaware State Senate. Stephanie Byers became the first openly trans state lawmaker in Kansas history and likely the first openly trans state legislator of color ever elected in the USA. And Colorado State Rep. Brianna Titoni won re-election despite transphobic campaigning by Republicans. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to be the mayor of Carolina, North Carolina. That's going to be my home. Titoni wasn't the only one forced to contend with such tactics. This year has been marked by discriminatory attacks on trans officials and candidates, from McBride, who was the target of transphobic Facebook ads, to Pennsylvania Secretary of Health Rachel Levine, who has faced bigoted attacks from local businesses as she leads her state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So you can read this whole article if you'd want, but I got some highlighted text here. My job here isn't to read entire Vox articles. My job is to give you the tidbits and then riff on them. So the wins by trans candidates, quote, reflect where America stands on the inclusion of LGBTQ people in our nation's politics, and each one represents an important step forward on the march toward equality, Mayor Anise Parker, president of the fund, said in a statement to media on Wednesday, whatever fund that is, the LGBTQ Victory Fund. In addition to wins by trans lawmaker, Marie Turner became the first openly non-binary state legislator in the country, winning a seat in the Oklahoma State House. The night also included other high-profile wins for LGBTQ candidates, including Richie Torres, who's not good, and Mondaire Jones, who to my understanding is kind of good, of New York, who will become the first openly gay black members of the U.S. Congress. So, again, I want to stipulate that, yes, it is important that also, for example, Kamala Harris is the first black woman in the White House. That is important. Now, again, there's going to be a lot of liberals that shove that shit down your face. But I'm sorry, if you don't think that it's a big deal that black people are being able to be elected while being openly gay, or that transgender people are able to be elected being openly transgender, or that black people are allowed in the White House, or that women are allowed in the White House, if you don't think that that's a big deal, then I'm sorry, you're missing the mark here. Yes, are the people that are often in these positions not great people? That's true. I don't know much about these transgender state lawmakers. I might look into them a little more. That would be awesome. But yes, not all of them are going to be great people. Look at Kamala Harris as an example. She's not a great person. But it's important that these milestones are met. It's extremely important because it lets other people who fit into these minority categories feel like anything is possible. It lets them feel like there is a higher ceiling. And when more and more oppressed varieties of people see that more and more oppressed varieties of people are becoming more successful in government, that gives them that chance. Okay, maybe if I put my heart into this, I can do it. Right? It's an important milestone. So yes, are all these people going to be perfect? Probably not. but they're going to be a hell of a lot better than the typical cis white straight man in Congress. Let me just tell you, right? There is nothing that these people can do that would make them like any worse than their Republican opponents. Maybe, right? Maybe they could have better primary opponents. It's possible. Who knows, right? But as far as a general election is concerned, come on, man. Come on. So I just want to throw that in there. It's huge. It's a big deal. And maybe I'll run for something. Who knows? Again, my plan. I'm going to run closeted. That's going to be the idea. And then I'm going to get exposed on the campaign trail. And then I'll be able to milk that for Patreon donations. So don't let anyone know about the strategy. I'm just uploading it in a YouTube video publicly, but don't let anyone know about the strategy. Totally not being ironic, by the way. This is definitely very serious. Yeah, compared to the 80s and 90s, this is huge. This is like, again, everything about this is huge. It's a big deal. Very big deal. Believe me.